extra, so it should be a great game.
Earlier in the season, after a disastrous league start, Darlington manager David Hodgson threatened to sell the entire team. It worked. A revival has taken them right up the league, and last month Hodgson was named Manager of the Month.
It's a great draw for the public, but I would like if it been where we probably could have met Hartlepool, or they met us a next round or the round after. It's just unfortunate one team tomorrow, come 10 to 5, will be out of the competition, and that's the sad thing for the North East football.
A derby that guarantees that at least one of our sides makes it through to the second round of the FA Cup. It's Hartlepool against Darlington tomorrow at Victoria Park. The clubs have played each other 10 times in the competition over the years, with honours even so far. When they met in the league back in September, it finished 1-1. Hartlepool's player-manager Keith Houchin put them in front, but he's suspended tomorrow along with his new signing Joe Allen, and 7 other regulars could be missing, cup-tied or injured. It looks a lot rosier for Darlington, who must be favourites to go through. Their league form has been excellent, and they were given another boost when teenager Anthony Cars, who got their equaliser against Poole, signed a new 12-month contract yesterday. Joint manager Jim Platt says the form book, though, will go out of the window.
Hartlepool probably were the better team that day. They're undefeated at home since January, I think, so they have a good home record. We in the league are better than them at the moment, as the league position would suggest, but tomorrow's a different day.
There'll be another big crowd at Victoria Park tomorrow, but you can't help feeling that Mr. Platt would rather be somewhere else.
I would have preferred to play the worst non-league team at home in the first round, and then the second worst non-league team at home in the second round, and then take our chances in the third round.
Well, one side that's already had its hands on
the reporter. Well, the North East is currently enjoying a welcome soccer revival. Newcastle top of the Premier League, Middlesbrough 7th, and Sunderland flying up the second division. Not quite so much glamour, though, at Hartlepool, where neighbours Darlington were the visitors for an all-third division cup tie. One of few neutral observers was our reporter, Gerald Sinstead.
Hartlepool is trying hard to change its old grim and gritty image. They're promoting the historic quay as a tourist attraction. They're proud of their marina. They're seeking to pull in new investment. But a rainy Friday night in the northeast is still a rainy Friday night. On the eve of a local derby in the FA Cup, the corner flag just beside the Hartlepool ground is where the pints are sunk and the fat is chewed.
We've been in the bottom 4 more times than I can remember. But we've been promoted twice, you know. A lot of people don't know that.
The FA Cup's always important. It's a chance for the club to make a bit of money, but it's extra important with us playing Darlington, because it's always important for us to beat local rivals Darlington.
2-0. That's what we're hoping for. We've got a scratch team out. You'll have 2 suspended and about 5 injured.
Mick Tate, Hartlepool's midfield player, was one of the doubts. Enough to stop, but wasn't likely to last the full night.
My goalkeeper has a sore hamstring. Now, I don't normally put another goalkeeper on the bench. I would put someone in there.
Bennett. Houchin! Brilliant goal! In 1987, Keith Houchin was a Coventry Cup winner. Now he's back as player-manager at the club where he began 18 years ago, though today manager only. Like fellow striker Joe Allen, Houchin's suspended. Their opponents come from 15 miles up the road and 13 places up the third division table. But there's a remarkable similarity in Hartlepool's record at home in the league and Darlington's record away. Add the tensions of the cup and you sense a local derby with plenty of edge. Nobody with more insight than Darlington's Paul Olsen. When the clubs last met in the cup, he played for Hartlepool.
But I don't think it'll be a pretty game, you know. There'll be tackles flying, the conditions are not so good, and yeah, it'll be blood and guts, but it'll be an enjoyable game.
A wet pitch and a blustery wind are not unusual in these parts, and Hartlepool in the stripes were 1 up just before the quarter hour. Scott Sloan the scorer. A bit too soon, though, to be asking the manager about a new contract, because 10 minutes later, Darlington were left. Steve Gaughan's cross, met by Phil Bromley. And before half-time, Brian Horn's doubtful fitness in the Hartlepool goal was tested by another cross from the right by Paul Olsen. Steve Gaughan on the end of this one. half-time, and the weather wasn't getting better either. Then Hartlepool paid the price for losing possession with a lot of men forward. 2 crisp passes released Robbie Painter. His shot was saved, but the ball ran kindly to Steve Gawn to lay it off, giving Gary Bannister an open target. Hartlepool 1, Darlington 3, half an hour left. 5 minutes later, it was 4-1. Robbie Painter catching the square once again and gone well. That signalled a Hartlepool revival that generated enough chances to have drawn the game. But all they had to show was a Route 1 goal completed by Stephen Halliday. On the afternoon, he was their best player. Back to the drawing board for Hartlepool, onward and upward for Darlington.
All credit to Keith, he probably set his stall out to try and play football against us and not launch it, because he didn't have the front men up there to hold it up. But I thought once we got past the first 20 minutes and we started to compete against them, that we would eventually win through, because I think we play, at this moment I'd like to say we're probably a little bit better football side than them.
The draw for the second round of...
Darlington in black and white took the honours in this North East Cup derby. League form always pointed to a Darlington win. They're riding high in the league while their rivals are languishing at the wrong end of the table. Scott Sloan didn't see it that way. He struck first for Hartlepool. The equaliser, though, wasn't long coming, with the home defence caught out badly as Phil Brumwell levelled it up at 1-1. After a dreadful start, Darlington have found their form, and evidence of their recovery was there for all to see as Steve Gawn pulled in their second. There was more of the same in the second half. A swift counter-attack left the Hartlepool United defence up against it. Outnumbered, overworked, and 3-1 down as Gary Bannister finished off the move in clinical fashion. It was Robbie Painter who settled it with a delightful finish to give Darlington a healthy 4-1 lead with 25 minutes remaining. They knew they were on course for a place in the second round. Hartlepool, to their credit, never gave up. They kept plugging away, and Stephen Halliday was rewarded for his hard work with their second of the game. Hartlepool United 2, Darlington 4.
And that was Nick Halling and Tony Lockwood reporting on all the highs.
Darlington remain handily placed in the league despite this blank scoreline. The match memorable only for an impressive debut by homekeeper John Burridge at the grand old age of 43. It's 65 years since Burridge. Chester stay a point clear of Gillingham after this success. Stuart Rimmer and Chris Priest showing the goals out between them. Rimmer making hard work of his first, the ball just crossing the goal line. Chester second, a lot more clear cuts. Priest sending John Burridge the wrong way. Burridge still playing a week short of his 44th birthday. This was Darlington's first away defeat. At least Mark Barnard made sure they didn't go down without a fight. Chester added 2 more in the final 17 minutes. They looked to have blown this goal-scoring opportunity, but Darlington failed to clear, and Stuart Rimmer punished them for some poor defending. And it was Chris Priest who volleyed in the 4th to round off a satisfying afternoon's work. It's been an amazing...
There's a great deal at stake in this round. A win could provide a money-spinning tie in round 3, when the Premiership and First Division teams enter the competition. Playing in goal for Darlington tomorrow is John Burridge, who at 43 is still going strong. He's the Newcastle goalkeeping coach and is just as enthusiastic about the game as ever. There are 2 great sporting loves in John Burridge's life. His football, where he's one of the oldest goalkeepers around, and ice hockey, where son Tom is one of Britain's brightest young prospects. But it'll be football which takes all his attention tomorrow as he begins his 28th FA Cup campaign. It all began as a 15-year-old with Workington. Tomorrow he'll keep goal for Darlington.
I'm just approaching it as another game that Darlington's got to win. It'll be great for the club financially if we do go through and do pull a major club, especially at Feethams. It'll be great for the club, and I'm going to try my best to get us through this tie.
Give the sentence. This is a save by Burridge. Brown! Oh, what a save by Burridge.
In his time, he's won League Cup and Scottish League Cup medals and has consistently been one of the country's best keepers.
I love every minute of it. I love the smell of the grass. I love the smell of my gloves. I love the smell of the ball. I even love the smell of my blood when people hit me, and I can taste it going down back in my throat. I enjoy it. I get up on Saturday mornings, and if it's not match day and I haven't been playing, I just don't know what to do with myself. What else is there in life, Stephen?
Now he divides his time as a goalkeeping coach with Premiership leaders Newcastle and as a jobbing goalkeeper, answering the call to help out from any club in crisis. This time that club is Darlington, who beat local rivals Hartlepool 4-2 in round 1, but then sold their goalkeeper for much needed cash. His exploits tomorrow will no doubt be recorded in the diary of his career he slavishly writes up every day. There's a few more pages to complete yet before he calls it a day. Even at 43, he's not yet thinking of retirement. His enthusiasm remains unabashed.
If you make the crucial save in the 89th minute, will you be the happiest man in the world on Saturday night?
If we get a clean sheet, I've nothing to do. I'll be the happiest man in the world. I just want a clean sheet. That's what my life lives around. Goalkeepers hat tricks. The old duck egg, that's what they call it. You get a clean sheet, goalkeeper's hat trick. That's all I'm asking for.
John Burridge, not many characters like him in the game. Well, Blythe Spartans have caused many...
In the FA Cup, Darlington started the match at Rochdale unaware that co-manager David Hodgson had decided to quit. Defender Simon Shaw gave the Quakers a first-half lead. Rochdale had levelled before Paul Olsen fired Darlington back in front with just a suspicion of offside. But new boss Jim Platt saw a late equaliser to make it 2-2. Darlington need a replay.
Well, sadly, those famous FA Cup...
Newcastle, Middlesbrough and Sunderland joined Darlington as the region's representatives in the FA Cup third-round draw tonight, live on BBC One. Darlington lived to fight another day after they drew at Rochdale on Saturday, but they faced the replay a week tomorrow without their inspirational director of coaching, David Hodgson, after he resigned on Saturday. The club's board meet on Wednesday to discuss the matter, but Hodgson told Look North this afternoon it's unlikely he'll change his mind. Even as he stood and watched his side draw at Rochdale in the Cup on Saturday, David Hodgson had made up his mind to quit. As his team twice took the lead against a side which had already beaten them in the league this season, Hodgson had decided inside politics at the club were too much for him to tolerate. This morning he met General Manager Steve Morgan for more than 2 hours. But Morgan emerged at lunchtime to say there would be no comment until later.
No comment till the board meeting Wednesday.
Hodgson himself left the office an hour later to say he would be back at the club on Wednesday, but was sticking by his decision.
Is there anything that would change your mind?
Not at this present time, no. There is things which could change my mind, but in saying that, I think once you've crossed the bridge, you know, you've burned it, sometimes it's difficult to run back before it all falls around on you.
But the door's not firmly closed, entirely
closed? I've got nothing
closed.
further to say on that, chaps. As I said, I've got to come and see these players on Wednesday because they'll give, I would say, 110, 120, 130% of me. And if anyone I've let down, it's them. And I hope I haven't let them down to the point that the season will end for them. I'm convinced that they will go on to bigger and better things. I just don't feel that other people believe that.
You said in the papers you were fed up with politics. Is that the case?
Well, you know football clubs about. It's true. You know what football clubs are about.
Hodgson and his managerial partner Jim Platt have lifted Darlington to the top half of the table. But now it seems the club has yet another managerial crisis on its hands. Well, Newcastle 5 points clear at the top of the...
The meaningful action came early and late at Scarborough. The home side were in front by the 9th minute. Craig Midgley, on loan from Bradford, marked his debut with the pass, which led to Steve Charles's impressive strike. And it stayed that way until the 85th minute. Then Gary Bannister, yes, the same who scored so many goals for Sheffield Wednesday, QPR, Coventry and the like, jerked the memory banks by going all the way to get Darlington's equaliser. They'd probably have settled for that, but happily helped themselves to maximum points. 2 minutes later, substitute Gavin Warboys muscled his way past Stuart Hicks and just kept on going to win the day. It doesn't matter who gets the goals. So
Darlington Football Club could make themselves financially secure for the rest of the season if they beat Rochdale in their FA Cup second round replay tonight. The winners will meet Premiership giants Liverpool at Anfield in a lucrative third round tie. They've met 3 times already this season. The best Darlington have managed so far is the 2-2 draw in the Cup 2 weeks ago. Then Darlington outplayed Rochdale for most of the game, but despite leading twice, allowed the home sides to equalise in the dying minutes. Immediately after the draw, Darlington's director of coaching, David Hodgson, announced his resignation because of differences with the board, and despite efforts to patch things up, he stuck by that decision. So now his managerial partner, Jim Platt, takes Darlington into their most important game for many a season.
This is our biggest match of the season so far. And it's also Rochdale's biggest match of the season, I would imagine. If we get through tonight, it will set us up financially, put us in a sound financial footing for the rest of the season, and we can take things from there.
You nearly did it down there, but it would be a mistake to think that the hard work's over, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. We've played Rochdale 3 times this season. They've beaten us twice, and we've drawn with them once. We were disappointed we didn't beat them down there because we were leading for most of the match, and they finished up equalised for 5 minutes to go.
Things have changed since that game, as we all know. I mean, what are your feelings now about being solely in charge here?
I'm really interested in getting a result tonight. The players are the most important people at this club. Always will be, always have been, always will be. If they get a result tonight, it'll be them that will get the result, not me.
England coach Darlington's exit from the FA Cup last night, and with it the chance to play Liverpool in a lucrative third-round tie, has cost the club at least £100,000 in much-needed revenue. That's at least the amount they could have expected to earn from a trip to Anfield. It would have meant financial security for the rest of the season. Instead, the 1-0 defeat by Rochdale has left them thinking of what might have been. So much was resting on this match, and Darlington had their fair share of chances to book their third-round place at Anfield. But Rochdale have proved difficult opposition to overcome on their previous league and cup encounters, and so it was again. Darlington's best chance came deep in the second half, but the miss turned the match. Soon after that, Rochdale broke away, and Dean Martin gave the travelling supporters something to sing about.
The lads played excellent. I feel very sorry for them because they couldn't have given me any more, and it just wasn't to be. I mean, that's football. You can play well and get beaten, you can play badly and win.
6th in the league, though, that's a playoff place, I think, so that's all to go for, isn't it, still?
Yeah, we've got some good home matches coming up over Christmas. On the bright side, when Rochdale play at Anfield, we're at home to Northampton now, so if they're above us in the league, so maybe we could go above them if we win that day, so that's looking on the bright side.
Carlisle United.
Feetham's was the setting for Steve Gwynan's first league goal. The player on loan from Nottingham Forest certainly showed his value to the Darlington side. But Barnet somehow found a way back into the match. It was Sean Devine who stole in between defender and keeper to hook in the equaliser, a point apiece. Hartlepool's victory.
Darlington could have moved into the top 6, but their home form has been their Achilles heel. The first game of '96 was no different. 2 first-half goals made it too tough for Jim Platt's team. Jason White just couldn't be stopped. After running away for the first, he got his head down again 2 minutes later, stretching Darlington's defence. The big striker just wouldn't take no for an answer, and eventually headed in the goal his perseverance had deserved. It stayed like that until 15 minutes from the end, when Darlington pumped the ball long and Gavin Warboys turned in from 6 yards. They had to pierce.
Darlington had to stage a fight back to claim their first win against Rochdale in 4 attempts this season. A 25th minute penalty by Rochdale's Steve Whitehall was the difference between the sides at the break. A second spot kick, though, followed in the second half at Spotland. Robbie Painter's run was stopped unfairly by Chris Clark. The man for the job from the spot was Matty Appleby, and he levelled the scores with 15 minutes to go. Jim Platt's side got out of jail completely in the 83rd minute. Paul Olsen latched onto the loose ball and fired home the decisive goal. That's his 6th of the season, and it finished 2-1 to Darlington. Meanwhile, Darlington's promotion drive took a wrong turning in the fog at Feetham's last night. Doncaster went into an early lead through Sean Parrish. There'd been one major flare-up already before Sean Gregan's tackle on Scott Colcombe seconds before half-time had tempers at boiling point again, with several players involved. The big Darlington defender got his marching orders. With only 10 men, though, the Quakers hit back 3 minutes after the break. New signing Steve McMahon's header was saved, and Robbie Painter put away the rebound. That's his 3rd goal of the season. But Doncaster have their own promotion ambitions. Twice Darlington had the chance to clear their lines, but Matt Carmichael's accurate volley means they've now lost 5 league games at home and drop out of the playoff zone.
Darlington moved back up to 6th in the 3rd division thanks to a good performance against Exeter. Robbie Blake was the main tormentor early on, but keeper Peter Fox blocked that effort. His opposite number, David Lucas, followed that up by stopping Paul Buckle's penalty. The spot kick had been controversially given for pushing in the area, but Darlington managed to clear the danger. They eventually got the breakthrough 7 minutes into the second half. Mark Barnard was given all the time in the world to send in the cross, and Blake got on the end of it for his first ever league goal. It's Darlington's first home win since October.
Meanwhile, Darlington were on the verge of pulling off a great win against Preston after Gary Himsworth put them in front with a free kick that somehow went through the keeper. They held out until 8 minutes from time when Andy Saville's cross was headed home by Lee Cartwright. It looked as though the 2 promotion-chasing sides would have to settle for a share of the points. But the game was turned on its head 1 minute from time when Kevin Kilblane was brought down on the edge of the area by Andy Crosby, and the referee pointed to the spot. Andy Saville, the former Hartlepool striker, took the kick and beat keeper Paul Newell on his debut. The final score, 2-1 to Preston at Feetham's. Great disappointment for Jim Platt's side.
Were hoping for a big turnout last night for their top-of-the-table game against Preston. Directors recently criticised fans for not turning up, questioning whether the town actually deserved a team at all. Cold but dry and clear, a perfect night for football. And with Preston, the visitors to Feetham's, an attractive game in prospect. Certainly the kind of fixture to woo back the missing fans to Darlington Football Club. Average gates this season have been around 1,800, well below the break-even figure of 2,500. But Preston bring good support, and Darlington are expecting a bumper night.
Well, this is the big one for us. Obviously, Preston generally bring a very large crowd. I mean, they're a very big club with a long tradition.
Darlington fanzine, the tin shed, 60p.
To have fanzines, you do, of course, need fans. This one was launched last night, so some feel all is not lost. And although hometown fans may not be turning up, there are those whose love for the club surely goes way beyond the call of duty. Martin Deans travels to every home game from London.
I hardly ever miss one maybe a season at the most, but some seasons never, just depends really.
So if Martin Deans can make it to the game, why do others much nearer stay away?
I'm rather surprised that the people in Darlington don't support them more than they do, to be honest. They've got a good little team here, you know.
People I speak to say that they don't want to come because of the ground.
But less than quarter of a mile away, potential supporters prefer the pub to the terraces.
I'll work every Saturday. I'd rather just come to the pub on a Tuesday than watch football.
It's to get successful, get the support. It's as easy as that.
When Darlington took the lead through a Gary Himsworth free kick in the first half, it looked as if the pub goers had got it wrong. But Preston, second to Darlington, 6th in the division, equalled in the 81st minute, before clinching all 3 points from the penalty spot 4 minutes from time. 2-1 to Preston, and with only 2,600 fans turning up, 900 of them from Preston, it was a bad night on and off the pitch.
Yes, very disappointing, considering that obviously Preston are a good side, as we are, and well worth, obviously, we thought, a look from a higher attendance than 1,800.
Who move up to 4th place in the 3rd division with a convincing 2-0 win over Leyton Orient. Robbie Blake put them in front just after the hour mark with his second goal of the season. And Jim Platt's side made sure of all 3 points 9 minutes from time. Steve McMahon spent the last 2 years playing in China. Ironic that he's had to move to Darlington so that he can score against the Orient. Finally, Hartlepool earned a... Darlington moved up to 4th place in the 3rd division after staging a fight back against Northampton. Jason White put the home side in front, but Jim Platt's side earned a share of the points when the keeper couldn't hold on to Mark Barnard's shot, and Robbie Painter was there for the follow-up. It finished 1-1, and the Quakers have only lost once in their last 13 away games.
Which Steve has done.
How are we doing, boys?
Down in the tunnel, a few jokes and a big smile set the tone for Steve Bain's Saturday afternoon. Up in the director's box, the match assessor was impressed with his fitness, his relaxed approach, and Bain's handling of an important game for 2 promotion-chasing teams. It really inspired as a spectacle. Jason White scored his 3rd goal in 2 games against Darlington to put Northampton in front. 7 minutes later, the referee was reaching for his back pocket and waving the first of 2 yellow cards. But it must say something for Bain's control of a game that in his first season, he's yet to send a player off. Northampton goalkeeper Andy Woodman must have felt like red-carding himself when he allowed Robbie Painter to equalise. In well over 500 games, Baines was never remotely close to a cup final, but at his current rate of progress, he might still make it as a referee.
Steve does let the game flow. He doesn't book players for, shall we say, lesser tackles, whereas some referees do.
Where would you put him in your sort of percentage-wise in terms of referees that you've seen?
One of the best that we've had this season. Now, obviously, we don't get the top referees being in the 3rd division, but he's certainly one of the best we've had.
He's got on.
Okay, last word this week about football in the North East. Newcastle going so well. Sunderland could get promotion in Division 1. But a 3rd club, Darlington, are well up there in Division 3. Jim Platt, the manager. Jim, did you expect the season to go this well so far?
No, we would have been delighted to be halfway, and now we're in a playoff position, and we're doing very, very well.
It's fair to say you haven't got great resources at Darlington compared to other clubs in Division 3, let alone the rest of the North East.
No, if we had a fraction of what Newcastle and Middlesbrough spending, even we would be well off. It's big business in the North East now.
Does it make it tougher for you, or have you noticed any spin-offs in the size of the scale of how football is in the North East now?
No, it's tougher for us. I think more people are going to watch Newcastle and Middlesbrough. Most of their home games are sellouts, and I don't think people can afford to go and watch them one Saturday and come to us the following Saturday.
Despite your success?
We're getting less crowds now than what we got last year, and Darlington finished 3rd from the bottom last year.
So what can you do about that? How can you improve the situation?
Keep on winning. That's all we can do, and the team's doing very, very, very well.
Do you get sick of all this Keegan, Colombians, Brazilian talk, all the publicity, all the success?
Envious. I mean, the amount of money is up in the North East now, the amount of money players are getting, it's just gone unbelievable. It's quite envious because it's big business now.
I think Faustino Aspria's wage packet for a week would go a long way at Darlington, wouldn't it?
It would probably pay all of our players for a month, I would think.
Unbelievable. As far as football in the North East is concerned, how big is it? Could you imagine the scale it's reached? Because you were a player in the 70s with Middlesbrough.
Well, Newcastle were always a big club. Sunderland were always a big club. Middlesbrough were the 3rd biggest. It was always big business, but now it's gone way through the roof.
Will Newcastle win the Premiership?
I think so. Take a good team now to come behind them.
And will Sunderland get up from Division 1?
It's going to be tight for them, but they have a good chance.
And will Darlington get up from Division 3? That's the big question.
I think we're going to the playoffs, and then who knows when you're in the playoffs.
Jim, thanks very much. Jim Platt there of Darlington. OK, we're back next week, of course, with all the goals and the news. Join us then. Bye-bye.
Pushing for promotion on their usual shoestring budget, but they were rocked back by Simon Ireland's coolly taken goal for Mansfield. That looked like settling the issue until Gary Bannister set a player coach's lead. His dummy and Robbie Blake's return pass were the keys to a glorious goal, though knighthood may be a bit too much to expect.
And concentrate on Darlington, Hartlepool and Scarborough. First of all, to Jim Platt's side down in Wales, who almost took the lead in just the 17th minute when Robbie Blake finished off a 3-man move by smacking his left foot shot against the woodwork. But Darlington weren't to be denied. And they went ahead in the 35th minute. A quick free kick from Gary Bannister to Mark Barnard just outside the box, and he smashed one past the keeper David Williams. That's Barnard's second of the season. The Quakers extended their lead 2 minutes before the break. A good move down the right, and Robbie Blake makes no mistake this time. He sends his shot across Williams and into the far corner, and it's finished 2-0 for Darlington tonight. Well, there were problems at half.
Finally, Darlington finished with a point at Colchester. This free kick gave Robbie Blake his 4th goal in 7 games and left it 1 each at Layer Road. Darlington have only lost once in 15 matches away from home.
Halved out a 1-goal lead at Layer Roads, and then, as so often is the case, failed to defend it. Tony Adcock put them in control, but with less than a quarter of an hour left, Robert Blake's free kick proved just too good for homekeeper Carl Emberson.
Nearly 4,500 at Feetham's for the big 3rd Division local derby. Underdogs Hartlepool nearly caused an early shock, with Joe Allen sharp to fire in this effort, Paul Newell not having any. But the Quakers were determined to put their notoriously shaky home form to one side. Robbie Blake came close to the breakthrough, but it was to be a typically tight local affair. 6 minutes left when the crucial goal arrived, Steve Gaughan producing a fitting winner. Darlington up to 3rd place, and Gaughan quietly happy to be the hero.
Any time's good time to score a goal, but in a derby I suppose it's a bit more special. And to be the winner as well, you know, it makes it a little bit of a good night for myself.
Darlington Football Club is reviewing its admission procedures at Feetham's after hundreds of fans were unable to get into the ground until well after kick-off. A late surge of fans caused problems at the turnstiles. Darlington were playing local rivals Hartlepool. Just over 4,000 turned up to watch.
The fact that they came so late, many of the spectators, caused us a problem. The crowd was great, and we want to see them back, let's be honest. And obviously we will examine all our procedures to see if there was any breakdown. But the simple reality is, if an area of the ground is sold out, we physically have to shut the gate because we can't let people in. We can't exceed the capacity that the Durham County Safety Committee have put on us.
Well, for one fan, it was an extra special night, and fortunately he had no trouble getting into the ground. Neil Raper was celebrating his 40th birthday, but thanks to his friends, it was a game he'll never forget. They say life begins at 40, but Neil Raper was surely turning the clock back at least 30 years. He thought he was simply turning up to watch the match.
If you would do us the honour of being mascot tonight, please. I'd love it.
Mascots are normally a quarter of Neil's age, but he took to the task with youthful enthusiasm. When you were handed that shirt with your name on the back and 40 on the back and the invitation to be the mascot, I mean, what did you think?
Over the moon. What do you expect?
It must have been a strange experience for players and referee alike to meet a mascot probably older than all of them. On this occasion, they decided against the friendly pat on the head. But Neil could turn out to be a lucky mascot. Darlington's 1-0 win takes them into an automatic promotion spot. A 40-year-old mascot tonight, Jim. Perhaps he's welcome back.
Yeah, that would boost our average age. That was nice to see him. I hope he enjoyed it. I'm sure he did because we won.
Darlington's excellent away form continued at Doncaster, with Steve Gaughan forcing keeper Perry Suckling into action in just the 3rd minute of the game. The Quakers went in front just 5 minutes later. Robbie Blake made the break down the left, and player-coach Gary Bannister made the run through the middle. A great diving header, and Jim Platt's side were in control. But they only kept the lead because of some excellent saves by Paul Newell. This was the pick of the bunch from Colin Cram's header. But Newell couldn't do a great deal about the equaliser from Darren Moore. He headed Doncaster back on level terms with the keeper stranded. But Darlington's away form is the key to their top 3 position in the table, and they always look dangerous. Steve Gaughan again with this effort that went just over the top. They got their reward though with a spectacular winner. Gaughan turns defence into attack in one easy lesson, and Robbie Blake does the rest. He keeps his cool, gets into the area, and unleashes a ferocious shot that gives Suckling no chance. Another great win on their travels for Platt's men. They stay 3rd in Division 3.
Darlington were able to narrow the gap on the top two. They may be the poor relations of northeast neighbours Middlesbrough, but they're going about their business in a quiet and effective manner. Player coach Gary Bannister took 8 minutes to break the deadlock. Darren Moore then won his aerial tussle with the visiting keeper to head Doncaster level. But it was Robbie Blake who had the final say with a spectacular winning goal in the second half to give Darlington maximum points.
Meanwhile, Darlington wasted a fantastic chance and a 2-goal lead at struggling Fulham. Robbie Blake is their scoring sensation, and he started the ball rolling just 83 seconds after kick-off. The striker, who celebrated his 20th birthday on Monday, made the second midway through the first half. A definite own goal by Robbie Herrera. It looked like Darlington's 9th away win of the season, but Fulham pulled the 2 goals back, the equaliser 2 minutes from time.
Before Saturday's trip to Feetham's, Torquay were the only club without an away win. The division's bottom side put that right at the weekend. 2 up in 14 minutes. Alex Watson's well-directed header rocked Darlington back on their heels. And within 2 minutes, Rodney Jack had inflicted further damage on the home defence. Darlington eventually woke up to the task facing them, and 10 minutes from time, Matt Appleby's deflected free kick gave them a late consolation.
There was a tremendous atmosphere just before 3 at Preston. The Tom Finney stand, 8,000-seater and costing £4.4 million, was open for the first time, and Preston's famous former England international took his seat for the match. The first real chance fell to his favourite team and former Hartlepool striker Andy Saville, but his shot was saved by Paul Newell. Darlington struck the woodwork 3 times in the 90 minutes. Here, Robbie Blake worked the opening for Robbie Painter, but his shot skimmed the crossbar. Tom Finney would have been delighted with Preston's opening goal. Skipper Ian Bryson's first-time shot from around 25 yards flew in despite Newell's despairing dive. But Darlington came back 4 minutes from half-time. Great control by Anthony Cars to set up Gary Bannister, who turned and fired home for his 10th goal of the season. Into the second half, it was one-way traffic. Darlington surged forward, and Blake's curling shot beat John Vaughan, but clipped the outside of the post. The Preston keeper was to thank for earning his side a share of the points. Blake again tormented the home defence with a great run. Steve Gaughan's shot was palmed away, and Painter's effort hit Vaughan's feet. A great double save by the goalkeeper. In the dying minutes, the bar again came to Preston's rescue. Simon Shaw, this time the unlucky Darlington player. And in stoppage time, Saville was given a red card for something he said to a linesman. He played no further part, but there were no more goals. 1-1 the final score. The draw keeps Preston in second place. Jim Platt's side dropped to 5th, but they're still challenging strongly for a top 3 automatic promotion place.
And they're also in the playoff zone, but sadly their success hasn't inspired the locals. Their winner against Hereford, scored by Robbie Painter, watched by only 1,700 people, the Ensley League's lowest crowd of the day.
4th place in the 3rd division thanks to a 3-2 win over Lincoln. Steve Gaughan's strike from 30 yards set them on the way. And Robbie Blake's 8th goal of the season, straight from the kick-off after Lincoln had equalised, sealed the points. Darlington are now challenging for automatic promotion.
Yet another 5-goal thriller saw Darlington hit 3 for the first time this season. Steve Gaughan, the hero, smacking in that opener after 20 minutes. Lincoln levelled within 3 minutes, but by the half hour, the Quakers were ahead, again thanks to Gaughan. Not as spectacular as the first, but worth just the same. But after 55 minutes, Darlington were kicking off once more, thanks to a second Lincoln equaliser. But watch the response. Robbie Painter charging straight back, outraged. But a cool head to find Robbie Blake. 3-2, 31 seconds, goal to goal.
Steve Gaughan was instrumental in this Darlington victory. He'd been expected to leave before transfer deadline day. Maybe the board of directors will think again after that 30-yard special. The lead only lasted 3 minutes as Hybrid Boss brought Lincoln back on level terms from a set piece, and the routine they'd worked on at the training ground came off as Boss reacted first to the corner. Gaughan, though, seemed determined to take centre stage, and having served up the speciality of the day earlier, he then restored Darlington's lead with an altogether easier goal. Lincoln, to their credit, never gave up, and early in the second half brought it back to 2-2 through Gareth Ainsworth. Just when it seemed Darlington had thrown away the initiative, Robbie Blake popped up within 50 seconds to knock in the winner. Darlington stay well placed among the leading teams.
Points clear of Gillingham, beaten at Rochdale. Bury move into the third automatic promotion place for the first time. Darlington go above Plymouth into fourth. No change in the bottom four places. Mansfield.
In the third division, Darlington picked up a hard-earned point at fellow promotion chasers Gillingham. No goals, but Jim Platt's side created plenty of chances. This was the best effort from Steve Gawn, but Jim Stannard pulled off a fine save, and the two sides shared the points.
On to Division 3, and Darlington's quest for promotion continued with a 1-0 victory at fellow high flyers Plymouth. Robbie Painter's 6th goal of the season came on 22 minutes. The Quakers are 5th, but level on points with 3rd place Bury. Towards the no goals at Feetham's, where Darlington had to settle for a single point against Cambridge. Matty Appleby went close for the Quakers, but his long shot was well saved, and they couldn't make the breakthrough. 0-0, Darlington now 4th in Division 3.
Great start at promotion rivals Wigan. Coach Gary Bannister linking well with Matty Appleby to put the Quakers ahead after 14 minutes. Jim Platt's team held on to their lead till the 82nd minute when David Lowe paid off a slice of his 110,000 deadline day transfer with a vital equaliser. Still a good point for Darlington.
Well, today I'm out at Darlington Football Club, where the lads are going to take me onto the pitch and show me a spot of ball control. So I'm off to get changed into my gear and find out if this type of training has me over the moon or sick as a parrot, know what I mean?
Okay, it's a cold morning. Hard on the foot. Let's keep warm. Going a couple of laps around the pitch. The knees is going to take you off. Off you go, the knees.
Come on then, lads.
Only 60 minutes.
Lads, we're on the groins, come on. Own them up.
Lad, I've got these bombs on you. Yeah.
Nice, mate. Both ways. Keep it going. Keep it going nice and loose. I'm going to press, press, fling. Press, press, fling. Keep your arms above your shoulder level.
The ball wins, are they called?
Press, press, fling. Go on, Denise.
Fling. Gary, you're the player and the coach, is that right?
That's right, yes.
So you're in charge of putting the lads through their paces?
You could say that, yes.
Okay. How important is it to keep up a big level of fitness?
Well, obviously it's very important. As professionals, we've got to keep our fitness going all the time. I mean, it's right throughout the season, really. I mean, it's also very important to stretch off before any exercises. And, you know, we do that every morning. And we get into a routine and, you know, we have a bit of fun and a few games along with that. But, as I say, it's very important. So when it's... Is that OK?
Aya!
Oh, I thought you meant higher.
No, aya! I beat somebody there.
Okay, lads, go and get some balls.
Are you going to show me a bit of ball control now?
Yes, we're going to do some penalty taking because we're not too good at the penalties.
Well, so will I get to do the penalties?
No, then as you're in goals, we want to practice scoring penalties, so you're going to be our goalkeeper today.
OK, great.
Off you go.
Gordon Banks, eat your heart out.
All right, lads, let's go over there, take some penalties, finish it in goals. Come on.
Ask them to be gentle with me, but by the look on their faces, I don't think they're going to be. Here we go. Well, I did get a buzz, and it was the minute they all jumped on me and tried to snog me. It was great. And I think they all picked up a few goalkeeping tips from me, and we'll be seeing them in the Premier Division next season. Next week, I'm off to do some powerlifting with Hunter from the Glad.
Welcome back to the Tyne-Tees match. We're going to concentrate on our second and third division sides now, starting at Feethams with Darlington against their promotion rivals Bury. A lot of the media interest was in a certain Sunderland manager in the director's box, but anyone who was there soon found out there was plenty to keep them entertained on the pitch.
It's starting to get exciting at Feethams. Automatic promotion is still a possibility for Darlington. And yesterday, the fans were out in force to support the Quakers' quest for a place in Division 2.
The sun's shining, everybody's come down for what looks like to be a great game. Mr. Reed's here, one or two other members of the press. So we look forward to showing them what Darlington Football Club's all about. Maybe if they're looking at Mr. Reed, but the game goes as well as we think it will, perhaps one or two will turn towards the pitch and realise what a good team Darlington Football Club have had this season.
Listen in, lads, listen in. Important match for us.
In just one season in charge, and for some of that as joint manager, Jim Platt has guided Darlington to undreamt-of heights. He admits that mid-table security was the initial target, but now promotion is on the cards. As Peter Reid took his seat for the match, so too did his brother Sean, injured on the Bury bench. Both had at least part of their minds elsewhere. For Platt, though, it was all about 3 points against their promotion contenders from Lancashire, and his team didn't let him down. Just 12 minutes gone, and after a spell of head tennis, Matt Carmichael's right foot smash squeezed in to make it 1-0. The Feethams faithful could already sense a victorious afternoon. 4 minutes later, Darlington really stamped their authority onto the proceedings. Robbie Blake fed the ball out wide, then picked up the pieces when it came back into the middle. That made it 2-0 at half-time. Into the second half, though, and a chance for the visitors to get back into the match. A harsh decision, handball against Phil Brumwell, and a penalty lifeline for Bury understandably annoyed the Darlington boss. Just as though followed from the spot, keeper Paul Newell was equal to Mark Carter's kick, and the fans' celebrations resumed. Their cheers grew louder on 67 minutes. Robbie Painter became the third Darlington player to beat Bury keeper Lee Bracey. Painter returning the applause with a victory salute. And there was still time for another. Painter's second of the match completed a convincing performance. The final score was 4-0. Darlington move up to 5th, and they can still catch Bury for the third automatic promotion place.
These lads have said many times this season they deserve a lot of credit. They don't get the credit they deserve because we're Darlington. We play against bigger clubs like Bury. But we played the best and we beat the best this season.
Obviously Jim's done a great job for us. He's brought a lot of confidence to the lads. We finished third bottom last year, virtually the same team. There's one or two additions, but Jim's done a good job for us. But as I said, he's passing the credit on to us. Good.
It was our best home performance of the season. We've only scored 3 in one previous game. Mostly we only scored 2 goals at home, if we score at all. So we kept the best for nearly the last.
Darlington's best